Hey guys, it's Barrett with the Gimpy Camper. So we're out here today in April to do our yearly camp out at Parksville Lake Campground. And tomorrow, actually today, I keep getting my days mixed up. Today we're doing our famous shrimp boil. Now on these trips, this will be the third year in a row, we're doing a big shrimp boil. I got a 120 quart pot. So essentially I'm going to walk you guys through how I do my shrimp boil. And give a shout out to my buddy Ken, who's no longer with us, who we miss dearly, but he's the one that kind of showed us how to do this, and we've kind of stepped it up from the 60 quart pot that he had to the 120 quart pot that we have now. So I'm a nerd, and I made a spreadsheet to show how much stuff that I need for a certain size group. And so basically, and I usually cook for the maximum with this. So I use about 20 pounds of shrimp. Now the shrimp that we use, I always get frozen shrimp. It turns out just fine. You want the shell on, and you want it deveined, and you want it raw. So that's the thing with that. So I use about 20 pounds of that, and I use about 20 pounds of kielbasa that's cut into about 1-inch strips, okay? So after we cut it up into 1-inch strips this year, it took 3 gallon size plastic bags to hold all the sausage. And then we have frozen corn. So usually we put the corn in at the end to kind of cool down the boil. I got to where a lot of times, because what would happen is I get paranoid and then I pull it out too soon and the corn's still cold. So I leave half of it frozen and I thaw the other half out. So the corn, we use about 20 to 30 frozen mini corn cobs, okay? So 20 to 30 corn cobs. And then we use about 10 pounds of red potatoes. Now the red potatoes you want to be all the same size. And then we throw 4 or 5, we cut up some garlic cloves and just toss them in the water. And then we use like a bag of lemons, cut them in half, throw them in the water. And then we use about 5 pounds of onions just cut in half with the stem still present on each side. Sometimes we do add in like some mushrooms or some jalapenos or some eggs as well. So we kind of change it up a little bit. My sister-in-law likes crab legs, so she usually buys some crab legs. I throw them in at the end as well. Now, we're going to be doing that this evening. I'm going to tape all of this and kind of put it together for you. But I'm going to go over the gist of the way this works right now. So my 120 quart pot, I actually got on Marketplace. Now you fill that pot no matter what size. Now I'm just going with the 120 quart pot kind of recipe here because that's what I use and everybody always wonders how I do it. But you get your pot and you fill it about half to 2/3 full of water. Now with that, you go ahead and light the burner underneath. With my last burner that I had, it took 3 hours to boil that water. So that's 60 quarts of water, so it's a lot of water, so it takes a while. With this new burner that I got off of Amazon, I put the link right here, it boils that water in 30 minutes. So I used to have to start preparing this stuff 3 hours ahead of time, and now I start about an hour ahead of time. So I boil the water, and as the water's coming to a boil, with this 120 quart pot size, I go ahead and add in a whole big container of shrimp boil seasoning. It's made by Zatarain's. So they also make different types and stuff, and sometimes I add some Slap Your Mama and this and that and the other, and some Old Bay, but that's the main thing that I use is the shrimp boil seasoning. Or sometimes it's called crawfish boil. I think the Zatarain's is called the shrimp boil seasoning. And they have a spicy one and a regular one, and I'll tell you the spicy is hell, so you be careful with that. Now the way that it actually absorbs the spiciness is the longer you let it sit in the water after it's done, the more spicy it's going to be. So I get the water up to boil, I get the spices in there, I go ahead and add the lemons in there too. And then you want to add in the potatoes, because the potatoes are going to take longer than anything to cook. And the potatoes, the red potatoes that you put in, you all want to be about the same size just because they're going to cook about the same the same time that way. So you have some that are big, some that are small, cut the big ones up so they're about the same size. But I usually just buy the same size bags, and I don't have any issues with it. So you dump those potatoes in, you let them boil until they're just, you can stick a fork in them a little bit. You don't want them to be done, you just want them to be like al dente. So stick a fork in them and it goes in decently easy. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to add the sausage, and you're going to add the onions, and you're going to add the garlic, and you're going to add any of the mushrooms or eggs or anything else that you throw in. But you're not going to put the shrimp in yet. So you're going to let that boil for a few minutes, usually about 10-15 minutes, and then the potatoes are going to be done. And then you're going to, and you scoop some out. I got a big wire strainer that I can reach down and scoop stuff out with to check. And I got a big metal paddle that you use to stir it up real good. So we just open it, stir it up a few times every few minutes, and just keep an eye on it. Now, after about 10-15 minutes, the potatoes are more well done. Then we take our shrimp and we dump in. So we dump those shrimp in. I usually take them out of the bags and put them in a bucket, and I usually I try to leave them in the fridge the last day or two before so they're not frozen. But I have put frozen ones in too, and they've been okay. But you put those shrimp in, and now you only want these things to boil for about a minute because it doesn't take long for these shrimp to cook. So you boil them for about a minute, and then after 1 to 2 minutes, you dump in all that corn. Now, like I told you, some of that corn is going to be frozen, and that's going to help cool that off. And so that kind of kills the boil. And then you let it sit there. And so hopefully, since it killed the boil, the shrimp's not still cooking more and getting overdone, but the boil's dead now. And so you're just letting it sit there, and the longer you let it sit here now, the more of that spice this stuff's going to soak up. So after probably a couple of minutes, I scoop a couple of shrimp out, give them a taste. If they're still kind of bland, I'll leave it in for a minute. If you use the hot and spicy stuff, it's not going to be bland at all. I'm telling you, that stuff gets hot quick. But then after that, what we do, after it's good and seasoned, we pick the big strainer basket up, have a good couple of young healthy men with good backs, pick that up, and then I put my oar underneath that, and that way we kind of rest it down on there, and that way a lot of that water drains out. Then we take that over the table, where we have either cardboard or butcher paper or parchment paper, something down on the table, and we pour that food out all over the table, and that is when everybody's like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of food. And then we just eat on it for an hour or so. And then I usually, even if we have 50 people here eating, now it's expensive because you got 20 pounds of shrimp, 20 pounds of sausage, then all the other stuff. But we have 40-50 people here eating. We usually have 10 gallons left over because I'm one that doesn't run out of food. But that's our secret sauce right there. It's what everybody likes, so it's usually what we do. I have a 30-quart pot, but I don't hardly get that out anytime because this 120's big enough. So if we do something small, then I'll scale it back to like 5 pounds of shrimp and 3 pounds of potatoes and some onions and do that smaller one. But around here, baby, it's go big or go home. So thanks for joining us for this video. If you're interested in how to make 120-quart shrimp boil, I'm no professional, but there ain't nobody ever complains about it, I'll tell you that much. But thanks, guys, for following along. Thanks for watching till the end, and we'll see you next year on our yearly camp out, maybe. I am planning on having a large get-together in the southeastern Tennessee area in the fall of 2026. So I'll get information out to you guys about that too if you're interested.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.